what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Chris Meaney here with you. You are watching Mean Streets on Game Plus Network live on our FTN YouTube page. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. Lots to get to here on this show. We are going to talk the 2022 AT&T Byron Nelson with Bryan DeCorte of FTN. He is the co-host of Bogey Free, which you can catch absolutely free over at our FTN YouTube page. The show already live. The guys recorded it yesterday. It was Bryan and had Alex Blickel in there as well as Matt Jones. They ran through their favorite picks, long shot picks, talked a little bit about DFS, but mostly a betting show over there at FTN Network. Check that one out. And again, if you're watching here live on our FTN Network, smash the like button. You have any comments, any questions, now's the time to get them in to Bryan. We will talk, of course, about the three-game slate in the NHL. Got some picks and some props. I got some MLB props for you and some picks towards the end of this show as well. But if you're watching the replay, whether it is on our FTNBets.com website, here on our YouTube page, you have any questions, you can leave them there. I always circle back before a puck drop, tip off in the NBA, or first pitch in Major League Baseball on the main slate, because we do have some afternoon action around the diamond. So make sure you set those fantasy lineups. And if you are watching on Game Plus Network, we do appreciate you. Always a great lineup. No football talk here today. We will have Josh Larkey stop in here tomorrow. We'll have Nelson Souza here on Friday to dive into some of his fades. And we will be talking a lot about football over these next few weeks. So just a bit of a break when it comes to the NFL and the artists in the house. What a comeback from the weekend. Hit 3 parlays. And he is telling people to smash the like button. So we really do appreciate you, and the artist. So Bryan's going to stop by in a little bit. He's fresh off nailing Max Homa at 48-1 in our FTN bet tracker. I'm seeing now he's up 46 units. His co-host Alex Blickel's up 57 units. These guys are crushing it on the links. They absolutely are crushing it. Just as of right now, on the websites that we have, ftnbets.com, I'm seeing a PGA tournament preview from DeCorte. I call him DeGote. It doesn't really work, but he certainly is a GOAT. Showdown picks, live at FTN Daily, and long shot article as well. We have value picks, course profile, fertility ranks, DFS cheat sheets. It's all there over at ftnbets.com and ftndaily.com. So really looking forward to talking to DeCorte here in a little bit about the Byron Nelson. So he's hanging by. He's also going to give us a PrizePicks play, and I have a PrizePicks play for you as well. A reminder that we have the free FTN pick tracker over at ftndaily.com. PrizePicks plays for free. And if you're unfamiliar with PrizePicks, it's a simple over or under on a player's prop or their fantasy score. You don't have to go perfect. You can go 2 for 3, 3 for 4, 4 for 5, still earn some cash. You can pick props from the same game, which we like, right? The Capitals and the Florida Panthers going at it tonight. A goal total of 6.5. We've seen a lot of offense in that series. So, you can pick 3 or 4 different options from that game if you want. And again, you use the promo code FTN and they'll match your first deposit 100%. All the way up to $100. A link inside the description of this video happening there as well. I'm seeing some golf people in here. All right, Sydney Farber, what's up? Byron Nelson outright card. He's giving some picks. Golf, he says he's hot right now. And all right, it's a golf conversation happening here early. So Bryan is in a little bit. I'm going to dive into some of the NHL games this evening. Of course, I mentioned the Panthers and the Capitals. A big Game 5 happening in Florida here. A big Game 5, big Game 5s across the board. Certainly for the Rangers at home, down 3-1 in their series against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Igor Shesterkin's been pulled twice in this series, and the Rangers have not been able to handle Sidney Crosby, Jake Guentzel, or Bryan Rust at 5-on-5. They've been absolutely atrocious. Going to break down that game, and then the Calgary and Dallas Stars game. Calgary Stars, I did it again. The Minnesota Blues and the Calgary Stars. We do have the Flames and the Stars. A huge Game 5 at the Saddle Dome tonight with that series all knotted up at 2 games apiece. Of course, we usually have the 4 games to break down, but the Avs are sitting back with their hands behind their head and their feet up, just chilling after that 4-game sweep against Nashville. Big comeback from the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. Fantastic stuff. We talked yesterday on Dangle Betselli, which you can catch at Game Plus Network. Kind of giving Johnny T the gears, right? Needed him to show up. He only had 3 shots in the first 4 games of the series. There's like a dozen forwards, a dozen players on the Leafs had more shots. Now, the goal that he scored was pretty fluky, but nonetheless, he got the monkey off the back. The puck went off his skate, and it went in the back of the net. A big goal to kind of get the Leafs going. Then he set up Morgan Riley, a big goal in the slot there. And I thought the Leafs showed a little bit, adversity, right? They kind of overcame some of it. They started off, down 2-0 early on. Looked like they were just going to get blown out on home ice. And it's like, here we go again with the Leafs. But can they find a way to close it out? Because they are 1-8 since 2017 in the Stanley Cup playoffs in games where they can put away a team in the playoffs or go up by 2. Now, of course, they can't go up by 2, but they have 2 shots here to put away the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion Lightning. But it's not going to be easy because they've gone like 50 some odd games in the playoffs without losing back-to-back games in the postseason. So now they can return home. We'll break that game down tomorrow, but good news for the Leafs, right? Kind of feeling, different things, different vibes when it comes to this Toronto team. Their big boys showed up last night. Jack Campbell made a bunch of nice saves. The same can't be said for the Edmonton Oilers. A tough go for the Oilers. They came back and made a game of it, forced overtime, but now they are down 3-2 against the Los Angeles Kings, and that series is going to shift to La La Land tomorrow. So, there's some teams that were expected to win, favorites that have their backs up against the wall already in the first round. Okay. The big takeaways, a couple things. Since we're on the NHL, just a little shout out to the Canadians. They did win the NHL Draft Lottery yesterday. They're going to pick first overall for the first time since 1980, and that draft is going to happen in Montreal July 7th, I do believe. So it should be an exciting time for Canadians fans in around that moment. And of course, Shane Wright of the Kingston Frontenacs is going to be taken first overall. There's no question in my mind that he will be the first pick. The New Jersey Devils moved up again. They've had a couple first overall picks over the past couple years. Nico Hischier, who's a former Halifax Moosehead, went first overall, I believe, in 2017. And then Jack Hughes as well, a couple years later, went first overall. And they moved up, and they will be picking second overall. Imagine if they won the lottery yet again. But still, some good luck for the Devils. Not so much for the Arizona Coyotes. So fill your seats, fill the barn, and then maybe you get some good luck. Also, a shout out to Reed Detmers. We'll talk about the Angels a little bit later on in this show. They are in action against Tampa Bay again today, but his 11th career start, a no-hitter yesterday. A no-hitter, just 1 walk, and only 2 strikeouts. It's pretty strange, right? You go the distance and you only have 2 strikeouts. Maybe that says something about the baseball, but don't tell the Halos that about baseball because it's been quite a start for the Angels. 20-11 to start the season. They are atop the AL West. The Yankees, the only other team with 21 wins. The Mets are kind of right there as well, but the Angels lead baseball in home runs, RBI, WOBA, ISO, WRC+, and slugging. I don't know if you caught that game yesterday, but it was another special moment at Angel Stadium. Not only did Detmers get the no-hitter, which is, it's rare. You don't really see it too often. Trout went yard twice. Brett Phillips, who's an outfielder for the Rays, came in and had a 55-mile-an-hour pitch. And guess what happened to that ball when Trout swung the bat? It went deep. And then Anthony Rendon, with the game already out of hand in the bottom of the 8th, decided to switch sides at the plate, hit as a lefty for the first time in his career, and he went yard last night. Of course, it was Brett Phillips who grooved in a 56-mile-an-hour pitch, but crazy stuff happening in Anaheim this season, which is rare if you're an Angels fan. It's been a rough dozen years for Mike Trout and company, but it's been exciting. All right, there's a lot of golf chat here. I think we need to get to it. We'll bring in Bryan DeCorte. Again, we are going to break down the Byron Nelson tournament happening tomorrow. He's got some picks, some outrights, and we also have some props from a PrizePicks standpoint. So stick around. Lots of picks, lots of props, a lot to get to here on Mean Streets. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Mean Streets here live on Game Plus Network and our FTN YouTube page. Chris Meaney as we bring in Bryan DeCorte, Axis_DFS. Bryan, welcome in to the Mean Streets of Game Plus Network, and congratulations on the max call last week. What are you, 48-1? Are you kidding me? Dude, you're a hot fire, man. Congrats.
Yeah, it was nice. It felt good within the first couple of holes. The lead from Keegan was erased. It's one of those sweats where I was watching. What a wild round! I think I read they only tied like 5 different holes, so that was a fun sweat, and obviously more fun to get the win out of that. So yeah, we'll go for 3 in a row this week. We had a pretty big one the week before over in Europe, so like to cap another win heading into the PGA Championship next week.
Let's do it. 3 in a row. Hattie, we'll get to some of your plays here in a little bit. Full Keegan from George. I don't know what's going on in the chat, but it's bumping. I can only imagine because you are here. But the guys are now talking about New York Jets Super Bowl futures, Arizona Coyotes Stanley Cup futures for next year. We're getting a little crazy here on a Wednesday. Before we dive into your picks and what you like, and we'll do some PrizePicks stuff in the next block. You are the co-host of Bogey Free. Why don't you talk a little bit about the show and some of the statistics and the course fit, all that stuff that you guys were addressing yesterday. What are some things that you're looking at here when you're projecting, not only from a betting standpoint, but from a DFS standpoint?
Yeah, so we've only seen this course once. So statistically, it's a small sample in golf, although I think it's normally enough to get a slight read on a course. TPC Craig Ranch, it's in McKinney, Texas. Seems like a pretty average course. The winning score was 25 under last year. They're gonna need wind to drop that scoring. I checked the forecast for what I've seen. It looks like there could be some, but I don't know if it's enough to really be much different than last year. So overall, I stuck to the baseline of my ratings and my models for the most part. I think it's going to be, a pretty standard test as far as what we see week to week. Distance is probably more advantageous than accuracy. It's one of those trivial cliche weeks of like the irons, and then you're gonna have to roll in putts. Like if 25 under is winning, you're gonna need to capitalize. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, but I wouldn't say I've baked in the course as much as a normal week where we have a lot more statistical data on what to expect.
Let's dive into the odds. Of course, I always say FTNbets.com is your friend. Free prop shop, parlay calculator, shop around. As we talked last week with your co-host Alex Blickel, we were really diving into some of the differences when it comes to books and the odds. Of course, you see on the bottom right there from DraftKings, Scheffler 9-1, Thomas 10-1, Xander 16-1, DJ and Spieth, as well as Sam Burns, 18-1. We have Brooks in there at 20-1. My guy, Willie Z, I think he played this course as a child. I think I saw that from George in there as well. He is 22-1. You got Hideki in there at 25-1. Tommy Fleetwood at 35-1. Kuchar at 40-1. Met that guy at the Waste Management Open a couple years ago. What a great guy. He was a baller, man. He just looked like a down-to-earth guy, and you got a lot of guys here at 40-1. Gooch and Jason Day in there, Adam Scott in there as well. I think Sidney likes absolutely everybody on the board. Dude is giving picks left, right, and center, but who is your top pick here on this board?
Yeah, so early on, I was able to grab Hideki Matsuyama actually at DraftKings when he was 35-1. And you can make a case, obviously, for much of the top of that board, and that's the case every week, right? That's normally why they're the favorites. Scotty Scheffler seems like he's not going to potentially lose the rest of the year, right? So, but when I looked at the odds, like I can only assume the market had Hideki's injury still in the mind. Although we saw him finish 14th at the Masters. Leading into the Masters, yes, it was a bit of a mess. But if he's healthy, which I have to assume he is, right? And I guess the beauty of outrights is he could withdraw before and you get your money back. Worst case, it's one bet. So going into that, like 35-1 just was a pretty wild number. I think I made him about 24-1. So I think he's one of the better golfers in this field. Obviously, we know all about his ball striking. He's one of the most consistent players over the entire career. Like you can look at his career statistics and year to year, they're not identical, but they're about as close as you probably get in golf. I mean, you know what you're getting with him. The putting should be easier here. They seem, from what I've read, pretty flat greens. Looking at the 1 year statistics, it didn't seem to be anything wild. So hopefully his pedestrian putting can maybe get an uptick, and he should be on the green quite often to be getting these birdie looks. So the 35-1 on Hideki just seemed like a really nice gift early on. I think you can still find him at 28-1, like you just posted. I still think that's a decent number to what I made him. I believe there's a 30-1 out there too at Will Hill, if you have access to that. So
I see that on FanDuel as well. Again,
okay, yeah.
If you're following Bryan on the Twitter machine, axis_DFS, you're following FTN Alert to get notified right away when that bet is placed, and you guys are all over it. Of course, the odds always changing, especially in the PGA. Right away, I find there's massive movement from, I guess you would agree, right? From the Monday that you see it until even before you guys get together on Tuesday evening for the show. And then again, from Tuesday night to Wednesday morning.
It's forever shifting. I understand that not everybody can get up at Monday, and that's the first thing, but that's the beauty of the Discord. Like I alert the Discord before I even normally get it into the tracker first. They're pretty simultaneous, but it always goes out there first. There's just a lot happening, right? I mean, people withdraw, that changes the odds. If you're prepared, which I try to prepare on Sunday, I mean, you might as well get them in as early as you can with people withdrawing. And worst case, a guy we bet on withdraws and you just get refunded anyway.
Right.
So.
And I love that. You telling all the subs right away before you jumping in, and puts a smile on my face. I try to do the same thing in the NHL and across the other sports. And a friendly reminder, if you do have the FTN betting package, you get all the picks across all the sports from everybody over at FTN. Access to those Discord channels, access to some of the tools and projections that we have over at FTNBets.com. You can use the promo code Meaney. What's yours? Axis? Axis?
Yes,
is that your promo
Axis.
code?
Yep.
Use the promo code Axis. And then you get those golf picks from everybody. But again, the free prop shop, you don't got to surf around. I'm seeing 22-1, 25, and then 31-1 over at FanDuel. I'm seeing 35-1 to win the Open Championship. We won't discuss that. But Hideki, okay. Farber, I was just I was just kidding around with you, but he does have some nice some comments here with some guys. He mentions Hideki went from 34 to 24, and then he also talked about Fleetwood, Tommy Fleetwood, and he mentioned that he thought he was a steal. I forget what the price was for Tommy. Was it 45-1? What do you make? 65. Wow. What do you make of Tommy at this price? I know you have some other long shots we'll get to in a second, but since Sidney's hanging out with us, what do you think about Tommy at that price?
I was hoping to get a better number on Fleetwood, to be honest. I believe I made him around 58-1, if I recall my own number off the top of my head. So early on, you might have been able to grab the 60, the 65. Like that would have been really close to my number, so it would have been tempting. He's been playing pretty well. He seems to have finally come around with his irons and his short game, which seemed to have left him for a good year there. I don't know if COVID hit him harder as far as, juggling family, living back in England, trying to play in America. Maybe he's motivated because he lost a lot of his status on the PGA Tour. I think he's technically the last one in this field on exemptions. He's very low on the priority list this year. And I don't know if the focus could be a lot of stuff. But anyway, I like Fleetwood overall. I do have him as part of a different wager in the tracker. So I'm just a big fan of his in general for years now. So I would love for this to be a breakthrough year, unless one of my bets is up there against him.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his as well, but it feels like it's been a little rocky for him so far this season, past little bit actually. And the artist is saying this is he thought that only hockey players had weird names. He says this is like a Spanish class for him. We'll get into hockey in a little bit, Am the artist. But again, you have the FTN betting package, so you have access to all of Bryan's fantastic work. So hopefully, a couple long shots as we get into them now. Maybe one of these will pay off. What is your favorite long shot bet? You have the article over at ftnbets.com. Here you go. Boom. There's a couple there you have right now, but you have the article over at ftnbets.com. You have the tournament preview. You have the showdown picks over at ftndaily.com. You are covering all the bases here, sir. But Aaron Wise, 65-1. You got Keith Mitchell at 75-1. And Sebastian Munoz over at 95-1. There's a name for you, Am the artist. Walk me through these guys.
Yeah, so we'll start with Aaron Wise, 65. I do not believe that number is available anymore, so I don't know if it's quite bettable. Let's see a 55 at DraftKings, which is pretty close to what I made. I think I made him slightly less, so I guess there's a little edge there still. I was on Aaron Wise at the Mexican Open 2, or the Mexico Open, which is where we last saw him. He finished T6. He's a guy who the skill set should translate here if this data sample we have kind of plays out. Very good driver of the golf ball. Irons are pretty solid. Not the most consistent putter, but he can roll it when he gets going. It seems like a course that could potentially suit. We've seen him play well in other potentially wide open, low scoring venues. So it all kind of added up to the number for me with Aaron Wise. And then the next one you showed was Keith Mitchell. And I do believe there's actually a better number out there now than 75 to 1. I believe if you go to MGM, he's 90 last I checked, as long as that update is still true. But Keith Mitchell is very good driver of the golf ball and a very consistent stat. So I love backing guys who are very consistent off the tee. Now that doesn't always translate to victories. There is a reason he is 75 and 90 to 1. But he has that I call it a rare combination. It's unique on the PGA Tour anyway, of a very good driver of the golf ball and a pretty consistently good putter as well. So he should be in position off the tee to give himself looks. And even if he's not putting the ball super close to the pin, although he's an okay iron player, he has the putting ability to roll in some of those 15, 20 footers more frequently than the field, which gives him a leg up as well. And I think that's why my number was pretty short on him compared to what I got him as well. And then we moved to Sebastian Munoz, and Munoz 95 to 1. Again, not someone who, we truly expect to win, but he's been playing consistently well. He just has not been able to string it together week to week. He hasn't missed a cut since mid-January. The problem is he hasn't finished better than T23 in that span either. So he's made 7 straight cuts. He just needs to put together an entire round here. But with this field and how it's shaped up, I do think it's possible. We've seen him win before on PGA Tour. This wouldn't be his first win. But at 95 to 1, I do think it's a really good opportunity for him. Again, he's been really let down by his putting, which hasn't always been an Achilles heel for him throughout his career. It's been very bad in 2022, though. Again, it's hard to predict that, but I imagine it's still probably not going to be the greatest, but he has the tools to be good. And at least we've seen the ability. It is in there. So at 95 to 1, I think I made him about 68. So I like Sebastian Munoz quite a bit this week as well.
Nice. Yeah. Pretty good number there for sure. I am seeing 80 to 1 on Keith Mitchell. The artist says he's going with Keith because it's the most normal name. He says Hideki. Hideki plays for the Yankees. Going with Keith. I am the artist. I think you're thinking of Kim Mitchell, the old Canadian singer. A little Patio Lanterns for you, but go with Keith, 1992 crew from Sydney Farber. I love the golf conversation that's happening.
I mean, I'm just glad we don't have to do the DP World Tour. That's a whole new book of names.
Yeah, names that I am clearly unfamiliar with. These guys I am aware of. We'll break. I want to get your thoughts on PrizePicks. We've been doing some PrizePicks stuff here recently. I'm doing some PrizePicks plays of the day, and I know that you are heavy into the PrizePicks plays as well over at ftndaily.com. And I want to get your thoughts, of course, on the PGA Championship, just like early thoughts, as we're just a few days away from that one as well. So quick break. Brian's going to hang by, and hopefully you will as well. Keep her locked. Chris Meaney and Bryan DeCorte here with you, Axis_DFS of FTN Bets, FTN Daily, and FTN Fantasy, covering golf for us over there on those three websites. Also diving into a little bit of PrizePicks action here on a Game Plus Network. If you're unfamiliar with PrizePicks.com, it's a simple over or under on a player's prop or their fantasy score. You don't have to go perfect. You can do 2 for 3, 3 for 4, still earn yourself a few bucks. Use the promo code FTN, as you see there on the bottom of the screen. They'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. We have a link inside the description of this video. If you're watching on Game Plus, jump on over to our YouTube page. Check out the link. We also have a free pick tracker over at ftndaily.com. And you can mix and match across all the sports you love. So you can take a couple golf picks here from DeCorte and maybe a couple hockey picks, get some baseball stuff. We have you covered over at ftnbets.com. And they offer absolutely everything over at PrizePicks. So Bryan, I guess for you, with golf is a little bit different. It's the daily thing here. We're looking at opening round, and then you'll dive into round 2 and then into the weekend when we get there. But what do you got on your radar here for round 1 on Thursday?
So round 1's always interesting because just like us, PrizePicks has taken a guess at kind of where to set this stuff. So I'm going to try for the over on birdies with Taylor Gooch and Joaquin Niemann. Now, what led me to this was both of these golfers have been making a ton of birdies this year, and it's not always predictive. Week to week, things change course to course, but TPC Craig Ranch was, I believe, one of the easiest courses on tour last year. It was below 2 strokes under par. The field average 4.1 birdies per round, which was one of the highest numbers on tour. I believe 47th out of like 50 some courses. And Taylor Gooch and Niemann are both inside of the top 10 in birdie or better percentage on the year, and they both average almost 4.5 birdies per round already. And the tour average is 3.7, so they're almost 0.8 over tour average. Again, we're speculating a little bit but if birdie average is even close to 4.4 again, let's say it's even 4. There's so many holes on this course that yielded birdies at 40% or more last time they played it. So the scoring will be out there, and I think the skill sets of Gooch and Niemann fit what I'm looking for anyway at Craig Ranch. So this is another way on PrizePicks. If you're not finding anything in the normal betting market that really suits your fancy, you can always head over there because they also have round by round scoring. Like if you want to take a stance on someone on a particular round as well, especially when weather shows up. So I checked the weather. Gooch has a much more favorable tee time. He's teeing off in the morning. There could be some 12-mile-an-hour plus winds in the afternoon. Again, this course really isn't that difficult, though. Golfers play in 10 to 12-mile-an-hour winds all the time, and it seems like it's more of a sustained wind than random gusts, so that'll help as well, although Niemann is teeing off closer to noon, I believe. But overall, I think those are pretty two solid birdie makers to try to get us there.
It's been windy where I'm at, and it's not helped my golf game out. I'll tell you that, dude. I need no wind. Headwind maybe on a couple holes, but come on. I mean, no wind, all right? I need all the help that I can get. Something that's pretty cool about PrizePicks, as I mentioned earlier, like the 3 for 4, 4 for 5, kind of like hedge life that Javi says all the time. Perlezzo, again, also of FTN, is that there's some value with 2 props. Like, for example, Am the Artist is hanging out here. Like, if you were to go Barkov and Crosby today on DraftKings or FanDuel for over 2.5 shots, I mean, that probably pay plus 160. Over at PrizePicks, right, you're getting 2 to 1. You back a couple units from that. So there is certainly some value. All the odds are kind of the same there. It's not, one guy's minus 175, one guy's minus 150. So if you're just going with the 2-leg pick entry, both of them, there is something to be said about rolling out just 2 in a pick entry for the value. Okay, Bryan, we'll get you out of here on this. You got the PGA Championship happening May 19th, Southern Hills Championship course. I know you probably already taken a bit of a sneak peek. I don't want you to give all your secrets away, but is there 1 or 2 guys that maybe you bet maybe months ago, weeks ago? I know the odds have changed, but who are a couple guys that are on your radar for next weekend?
So actually, I have not done a ton of research yet into Southern Hills. I do know it'll play around 7,500 yards. The PGA Championship's been here before. I do believe Tiger Woods won it last time in 2007, if I have the date right. So it's going to be a little bit of a mystery to me as well. I know they've done a ton of work on the course since 2007. They did a big multi-million-dollar, maybe $10 million renovation or restoration, if you will. Big difference in there. So yeah, it's actually going to be a bit of a deep dive for me as well. And I'm really looking forward to this course. I've heard nothing but great things. Back in 2007 when they last played it, I was pretty well aware of Tiger Woods, and that was the extent of a lot of my golf at that point in time in my life. I don't know. I hear a lot of wonderful things about it. I'm honestly most curious to see how Scheffler continues to play. I honestly think this story is, I don't know about underplayed is the right word, but I feel like
I think it is.
This was a lot of other golfers. This would be bigger news what he has done so far this year.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. A remarkable run. And George says it's his favorite course. I don't know. Like, how does he? All the courses are his favorite courses lately. He just keeps the run that he is on is. You're right. I mean, it's Tiger-like. Can we just say that? It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit of a small sample, but what he is doing is Tiger-like from back in the day. You mentioned the mid-2000s and the run that Tiger was on. Scheffler is on one as well. Dude, appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Again, check out FTNBets.com. We have links inside the description of this video bringing you guys to some of Alex's content. I called you Alex. They're great. Tournament preview, showdown picks, long shot picks, link to Bogey Free. Check it out. Fantastic stuff. Quick hits all the time with his two co-hosts in there as well, Matt Jones and Alex Blickel. All right, Bryan DeCorte, thank you so much, dude. We will switch gears and we will talk about Am the Artist's favorite sport. Some hockey talk in here next. Stay tuned. Welcome back in. Mean Streets here live on a Game Plus Network. A shout out to Bryan DeCorte in there, who did just give us a little hockey question. Usually I bring up hockey with him because he's a Detroit guy, and I mean, I've done it so much, it's like I can't bring it up to him again, but I guess I could have, because they did announce the 3 Calder finalists today, Rookies of the Year. It was Michael Bunting, Moritz Seider, who is a Detroit Red Wings guy that DeCorte is very familiar with. And then I mentioned Michael Bunting. And then Trevor Zegras. So we actually have 2 of the 3 in the bet tracker. We have Zegras at, I think, 4-1 and Michael Bunting at 10-1. I think it's Moritz Seider who's going to win the award, but he did mention earlier any chat on the Lucas Raymond Calder snub easily could have been a finalist. And you know what? If I was picking the Calder finalists, he would have been in there and Michael Bunting wouldn't have. He's a 26-year-old player who's been like a kind of a journeyman in the minors, spent some time with Arizona, some very small sample. I believe you have to play an X amount of games to get to, I think 27 is the cutoff in terms of age. And I believe the games is right around 27 or 40 and around that range as well. So he's not truly, well, I guess he's truly a rookie, but my goodness, like he's not. Like, right? He's not truly like a Lucas Raymond, a Trevor Zegras, or a Moritz Seider, like young kids in the NHL. But nonetheless, I don't think that Bunting is going to get it for that reason. But I do believe it will be Moritz Seider who wins the award. And a very impressive season for Moritz Seider, logging heavy minutes on a very mediocre Detroit team, playing against the top opponents night in and night out, and not looking out of place. He was a great fantasy hockey asset as well. He contributed on the scoring sheet. He loved to shoot the puck, and he was blocking everything that kind of was thrown his way as well. Means Mikey Bunting is a PTP. I don't know, dude. I don't really fully agree. But he is a volume shooter, and he can score, and he did a lot of that. He did have a really good season, career season, of course, across the board, even though it wasn't his first season in the NHL, but his first full one in the NHL. All right. Trust the process. Yzerman will save you guys. There's no question about that. I don't have any doubts that Detroit will be up near the top, a playoff team, season in and season out in a couple of years. They'll be right there. They got a lot of nice young pieces, but they're not in action tonight. Let's start, George, with the Washington Capitals and the Florida Panthers. So this series is all knotted up at 2 games apiece. You got the Panthers here, heavy home favorites, 220 on, I believe that's over at DraftKings. Yes, again, the prop shop, free parlay calculator to get the best possible odds. I do believe that this is a Florida Panthers night here today. I think that they show up big. I like the over 6.5, but I do like the Panthers on the puck line here at plus 110. We haven't seen the Panthers really dominate this series yet. They do have a 5-1 victory on home ice in game 2 in this series. It's been very entertaining. It's been pretty tight as well. 5-5, the numbers are pretty even, actually. But I'm going to go with the Panthers here. They have been the highest scoring team in the NHL. They were really good on home ice, the best team on home ice. Now they go back home. I think they caught a bit of a break. I think they were basically a minute away from being done in this series. Going down 3-1. They had the goal late from Sam Reinhart, and then Carter Verhaeghe ended it pretty early in overtime. So I'm feeling like maybe it's a sigh of relief, some struggles. They're kind of a new team in the playoffs, not a lot of playoff experience on that squad. Some younger guys that are on there. Maybe took them a little bit to kind of get going here. But we will talk about Alexander Barkov in the next block, but I do believe he is the guy here in this game to attack from a shot prop standpoint. He's cleared 2.5 in each of the first 4 games of this series. He's had at least 4 shots in his last 3 as well. So Barkov, maybe for him to get an assist. We had that in the bet tracker in the last game as well. It was basically even money. Look for Alexander Barkov to continue to put pucks on net. Claude Giroux has been very quiet in this series, but plus money for an assist, right around minus 140 for a point. I think he hits the score sheet as well. And our guy Sam Bennett has been very quiet in this series, but he showed up in a big way in game 4. He had 6 shots on net. He had 9 shot attempts, and he's still averaging 4 shots per game on home ice this season, despite not getting over 2.5 in each of the first 2 games of at home in this series. And I will throw Alex Ovechkin. We're going to give him a little bit more love in the next block, but Alex Ovechkin is the guy for me in terms of assist props. He's been plus money in each of the 4 games. I think he was plus 210 in game 1, plus 195 in game 2. I think he was plus 165 in game 3, very similar in game 4. And again here today, he is plus 165 for an apple, and he has an assist in every single game. We'll give some love to TJ Oshie. He's been good as well. But from a DFS standpoint, this is the game that you want to attack. It certainly is on both sides. Don't ignore the Capitals. TJ Oshie is underpriced. Tom Wilson is making the road trip, but he's doubtful to play tonight. So TJ Oshie should remain in the top 6 role, and I think on that top line with Kuznetsov and Alex Ovechkin. But a lot of different ways that you can go here in DFS. Carter Verhaeghe is also very cheap. He's playing really good hockey in this series as well with Sam Bennett and with Jonathan Huberdeau. And they got Mason Marchman, who's he's underpriced as well. I think he's probably priced appropriately in DFS, but he's a guy that has exposure to that top line with Barkov. So keep an eye on him as well. Let's switch gears over to New York and talk about the Rangers and the Penguins. This has been a lopsided series. The Penguins have been underdogs in a lot of the games, not so much at home, but certainly on the road. I think New York wins this game with their backs against the wall at minus 137 or minus 135. I think it's a decent price here. I shopped around. That's the best one I am finding as of right now. Man, Shesterkin has not been good, but it's not all on him. And you got to go to him. I had the conversation with Jake Seeley a little bit. He's a Rangers guy. He says, do you have to go to Shesterkin? I mean, he's been pulled twice. He hasn't looked good. Yes, you go with the guy who's going to win the Vezina, who's maybe a Hart candidate here. He has struggled, but again, it's not all on him. Last time that these two teams played, every single player had a higher expected goal for percentage than all the Rangers. All of them. You're on the Pens here. I am the artist. It's probably the smart play. The Penguins have been the better 5-5 team. Talked about it before the series started that they were the better 5-5 team this season, but the Rangers had good special teams and they were stronger in goal. The high danger chances in Game 4 were 20-1 at 5-5. 20-1 in favor of the Penguins. The top line has been absolutely phenomenal. Sidney Crosby, Jake Guentzel, Bryan Russ, they're all in play for shot props. They're all in play to hit the score sheet. But I'm looking at the Rangers here with their backs against the wall on home ice. Desperation game. I'm going to side with New York, and I have a lean to the under. I do believe the Rangers are a little overwhelmed as well. I am the artist, but I think they get it done. They're not going to win 3 straight, but I think that they force a 6th game in this series. And then Dallas and Calgary. I'm feeling much like I felt with the Panthers. I feel the same way here with Calgary. Back on home ice, the better hockey team. They have been much better at 5-5 in this series. It's actually not even close when you look at it overall. The shot attempts for Calgary at 5-5, 204 and 134 against. The shots on goal, 97-69. The goals have been pretty tight, but the expected goal for percentage is 59% according to Natural Stat Trick in favor of Calgary in this series. Jake Ottinger has been really good, really good. He's making a highlight reel save after highlight reel save, I think, in every period so far in this series. But I am going with the better team. It's been tight. It's mostly been low scoring all the games. I think I am the artist. We got burned on one of those games, right? We had a 1-0 final in Game 1, a 2-0 final in Game 2, a 4-2 final in Game 3, and it was a buzzer beater, an empty net from Rupe Hintz that we didn't get the under. And then the last game was 4-1 in favor of the Flames. I like the under. The Flames have been really stingy. Flames in regulation is a good bet as well. I might get a little crazy here with Flames and Calgary puck line. Each of them to win on the puck line. You can get that at plus 210. You can take them both just to win on the money line at plus 110. You can get involved maybe regulation when it comes to the Flames, help your odds out a little bit as well. But the under, I believe, is a trend that we should continue to attack here when it comes to the Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars. They're going to get it right here on home ice. They really haven't given up a whole lot at 5-5. They've dominated play. I don't know how long Jake Ottinger can keep this up. So that's my initial thoughts on the 3 games tonight. We'll break. We'll dive into the PrizePicks play of the day on the ice, and then a couple shot props as well as point props to round out the hockey talk. Don't go anywhere. Continuing the NHL Stanley Cup playoff talk here on the Game Plus Network on our FTN YouTube page. Chris Meaney here with you. My PrizePicks play of the day is TJ Oshie to hit the score sheet. You can get this over at prizepicks.com. Use the promo code FTN. They'll match your first deposit 100% up to $100. If you're already signed up, refer a friend, and it's a free $25 in your PrizePicks account. Again, PrizePicks is simple over or under on a player's prop or their fantasy score. You can have entries from the same game, just can't have everything from one team, and you can mix and match across all the sports. TJ Oshie has 3 goals and 4 points in 4 games. As you see there, he's logging heavy ice time. He's played at least 19 minutes in 3 of the last 4 games. He's bumped up on the top line here. Tom Wilson did travel with the Washington Capitals, but I don't believe he is going to play. Even if he does suit up, I don't mind this play at all. TJ Oshie is getting top power play time. He has been really, really good in the playoffs here, hitting the score sheet. You could also get that over at DraftKings at minus 130 for TJ Oshie to hit the score sheet. So I'm leading with TJ Oshie here to hit the score sheet, taking the over, and a couple other NHL props and picks that I like here for this evening. Some shot props and also some point props in here. So I saw AM the Artist, Jason Robertson, Johnny Hockey. His only dilemma for me, it is Johnny Hockey here for me of the Calgary Flames. 11 shots in his last 2 games. He leads Calgary with 32 shot attempts and just 13 shots. It's been tough. The shots have been hard to come by here in this series, but certainly Johnny Hockey has stepped up his game over the last 2 nights on the NHL. In the NHL, you can get that at minus 149. Crosby and Barkov, they're my go-to guys. You can get Crosby at minus 149 over at Caesars. Alexander Barkov's a little bit juiced up at minus 170, but you put them into a parlay, and again, that's plus 161. You head on over to PrizePicks, you're going to get 2-1 over there when you parlay any 2 shot props together. But Barkov has hit in all of the games that he's played so far. And Sidney Crosby has been, that entire line has been absolutely amazing here in the playoffs. And I saw AM the Artist talk about the trend, and the overs have hit because Shesterkin hasn't been good. And Domingue is a third-string goalie, despite he's actually looked okay in this series. If you want to follow the trends there, that's fine. But Crosby has cleared 2.5 shots in 3 of the 4 games, 18 shots here through 4 games in the playoffs. Jake Guentzel is kind of like your plus money play there that I see at plus 115. Adam Fox in there as well. And Ovechkin at plus 168 for an assist because he's had an assist in every single game so far in the playoffs. So why not, right? Eventually we're not going to get this, but it's been so good to us. Let's continue here. Crosby is also in play for an assist at minus 115. He has 7 helpers through 4 games and at least 1 in each game. The other 3 games, he had at least 2 assists. As for Guentzel, it's been this top line that has generated the most shot attempts and the most shots at 5-5, not just for the Penguins, but in this series. Guentzel has cleared 3.5 in 3 of his 4 games. He leads the Penguins with 24 shots, and he has 18 at 5-on-5, which also leads the Penguins. Bryan Rust, as another guy, is in play here. He's tied with Crosby, 32 shot attempts, and he has 18 shots, and he is cleared in 3 of his 4 as well. As for Adam Fox, is another guy that is cleared in 3 of 4. The one game that he didn't, he was stuck on 2. This is a plus money play. He is second on the Rangers in shot attempts with 26 and shots with 16, and most importantly, he leads the Rangers in ice time with 116 minutes. So he's getting a lot of ice time here, and it's a do-or-die game. The Rangers are going to give their players all the ice that they can handle. I do believe that Frank Vatrano's in play, and Andrew Kopp, who's a point-per-game guy for the New York Rangers. He's hit the score sheet in 3 of 4. Jake or Russ? I lean Jake. Jake has been the guy that's really, really shooting the puck, getting a lot of opportunity. And Pittsburgh, sometimes they take Rust away from the top line, and they'll put somebody else on there. So I've seen Kapanen on there. I've seen Ricard Raquel on there as well. Jake Guentzel is locked in to Sidney Crosby. He's the trigger man on the power play. They look for him on the power play as well. So I lean Jake over Rust, but I think both of those guys are absolutely in play as well. If I am picking a star, it probably is Jason Robertson, but I feel a little bit more comfortable rolling with Johnny Hockey on home ice here today. Get away from some of those tough matchups against Dallas. One more break, and we will dive into some MLB props to round out Mean Streets. Keep her locked. Welcome back in one final time. A couple MLB props to round out the show. I'm taking a look at Shohei Ohtani and Shane Mcclanahan of the Tampa Bay Rays. So both of these guys are going to go head-to-head against each other. I'm a sucker for both. You guys know that I love Shane Mcclanahan. He's cleared his strikeout prop in every start but one here so far this season. He's got a lot of swing and miss. He's inside the top 5 in strikeout percentage, swinging strike percentage. He's been really, really strong for the Rays. He's been, his command is a little off, a little spotty here and there, but the strikeouts have certainly been there for him so far this season. And then Shohei Ohtani. So they're both going head-to-head against each other. The reason I like both, and they're pretty high, you see Shane there at 6.5 and Ohtani at 7.5. Ohtani has cleared this number a couple times already, 3 times already this season. This game is happening earlier in the afternoon. I think it's 7:05 Eastern, but it's happening in the afternoon in Anaheim. And there's going to be shadows. And every time I watch an Angels game that's a little bit early on, the hitters really struggle. There's the shadow over the home plate for the first couple innings, like halfway through, and the batters have a hard time picking up the pitches. So I'm going with both of these guys, and I'm riding with the Halos here to win at home. Everything is kind of working out for them right now. 21-11, 7-3 in their last 10, 12-6 at home. I gave the stats at the start of the show. They're number 1 in home runs, WOBA, WRC+, ISO, RBI, runs scored. They're cooking on offense. The Rays didn't even have a hit yesterday against Reed Detmers. Now they got to face Shohei. So I'm liking the Halos here at home. I think you can get them at -123. Use our free prop shot parlay calculator, again, over at ftnbets.com. But I like both pitchers to top their strikeouts. The reason I'm backing with the Halos here, not just because they've been hot offensively, is Ohtani last year in 78 innings at home, he had a 1.95 ERA. He's been spectacular at home. This season, very small sample, 2.79 ERA in 9 2/3. And then the Astros. The Astros are probably the hottest team in baseball right now. They've won 8 straight, a matchup against the Twins. You can get them at -130 as well. They're 18-11 on the season and 8-2 in their last 10 games. So I'm rolling with those two teams and those two pitchers. You can catch that over at our FTN bet tracker as well. Sagan, not for me tonight. He has been hitting, but no thanks. Not doing it. Not tonight. Go Flames. Go Panthers. Go Halos. Go Astros. We're out of here. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Cheers.